been a while since we talked to Holly Holm. Here she is, kind enough to join us. Hello, Holly. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
You have the look of someone who just got a new phone and had to update their phone to try to get Zoom on the phone. Is that look?
That's me.
Okay. Well, thank you for fighting through that. I appreciate it very much. And
you always forget how many apps you got to like re-log into until you use them. It's annoying.
It's very annoying with the passwords. I just went through this myself. It is extremely annoying. But thank you very much. Great to have you back on, and exciting news. Can I ask, when you got the call from, I'm assuming your manager, Lenny, and said it's Kayla Harrison at 300. This is what they are proposing. What was at 135, no less, what was your reaction?
Yeah, what's crazy is they had, we had talked to Hunter and Mick a little bit, and they just, we kept asking them when I was going to be able to get a fight. And it's kind of been just pressing. And they're like, we got something we think we're going to work, but just, we'll let you know soon. And it just kept going. And, I didn't think Kayla Harrison at all. And I kept seeing all the other girls getting booked. And I'm thinking, well, man, are they just going to leave me sitting for a while? Like, what am I going to get, And, but I just try to be patient and just wait to see what they had. And randomly, my manager, Lenny, I was like, I wonder. And he goes, I mean, could be something big. He's like, either that or who knows, it could be Kayla Harrison. She'd be coming over. And I kind of thought, I don't know, because I hadn't really seen anything. And, there was almost even like recent pictures of her with PFL stuff on. I thought, is she going to stay there? And especially like you said, 135, so, but I'm always open to anything. And when they called, they said it was Kayla Harrison, and they announced it that day. So it was definitely like new news for me, and I was super excited about it. This is a fight that I'm excited. I'm excited for this fight. Really excited for this fight.
You emphasize excited. Would that suggest that maybe the last couple fights, there were some that maybe didn't make you feel excited?
I think what it is that it's just being like such an underdog gets you like, I don't know, there's just a different feeling with it, and that's just kind of how I feel about this fight. It's kind of intrigued me. It's a different fight. And maybe because it's also not anybody that has been, in the UFC. That's been, because your mind's like on all these other people. So when this came in, it's just kind of I don't know, it's just a new journey, a new page, a new fighter to really think, this could be one of those epic fights in history. So
do you feel disrespected by the line? I think you're like a plus 350 underdog, whatever that all means. But like, do you feel disrespected that it seems like they think that she's just going to go in there and steamroll you?
I don't ever see any disrespect with anything. I think that's just how sports go. It doesn't bother me. That's not how I feel about myself, and that's what matters at the end of the day. So I know that I am capable of winning this fight. I know that I have what it takes. And yes, it's going to be a lot of hard work. It's going to be, probably a pretty intense emotional fight camp and all that, because you put your heart and soul into it. But that's all right. That's why we do this.
Are you surprised she's fighting at 35? She's only fought at 45 once, 146 in Invicta. Other than that, it's been 55 or 50, now going all the way down to bantamweight. Does this surprise you?
Yeah, that's like if somebody was to tell me, I don't really know what she walks around at, how much water she drops. I don't know all those details, but for me, it's like if somebody was to tell me I got to go to 125, that I couldn't make 125. So yeah, that is, you think about that, and that is a concern, but I feel like, she's a professional, and she's not just been in MMA, but obviously other professional sports and her judo and everything. So, I give that confidence in her that she's going to make weight.
Is part of the appeal here thinking that like she's going to deplete herself to get to 35 and that will play into your advantage?
I think that there's a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of details around that. Somebody can be depleted, but somebody can be faster if they're not carrying around extra weight too. So I guess we'll just see what happens when we get in there and when we get to the fight. I do think that, like I said, I don't really know her history. I don't think she's ever missed weight. You know what I mean? So I think she's going to be professional about it. But As long as it's not one of those things, or as long as, oh, I'll get close enough and then hopefully just, still get the fight and nothing like that. Be professional about it and make weight, and it's ready to rock and roll.
I was just going to ask you about that. I'm sure you guys have talked about it. Like, what if,
Mhm.
and to your point, she's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. She is the ultimate
Yeah.
pro, but what if she misses by 2, 3 pounds? Some people are open to this type of thing, like give me the money and I'll fight. Others say absolutely not. Ultimately, she has to hit 136, right? Because it's a non-title fight. What is your stance on this sort of thing?
I'm I'm on the stance that you need to make weight. That's just how it is. And I think that her mindset should be on, I'm gonna make weight, because she took the fight at 135. So I think that that's just as simple. I think it's simple. I don't think it should be super detailed. Um, I know, gosh, like you think about the fight, it was a Wonder Boy, his opponent came in 3 pounds over, and people were like, oh, it's only 3 pounds. And he's like, well, yeah, if it's only 3 pounds, then go lose the 3 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If that, like, there's two ways to look at it, right? So, oh, it's only this, or, well, it's only that. So it's like, you can look at it from a lot of different angles, but as a professional, it's just, I gotta make weight. I work hard to make my weight, so I I expect the same.
And often those 3 pounds are the toughest, right?
For sure. The
Yeah.
last three are always the hardest. Right. So it's and I think that they're, for the most part, I feel like a lot of fighters, they make weight, you know. And then there's some that are notorious for missing weight, but and it's hard to say with her because she hasn't fought at this weight before, so we'll see what happens.
Um, are you someone who like? I know she fought for PFL, and there's a lot to watch out there. But did you keep your eye on her? Are you familiar with her? Or only now do you have to catch up on her? Are you familiar with her game? Have you watched her fights?
I've watched her fights just when I've watched PFL, and it's not that I've watched every single one of her fights. I've definitely, tuned in, but it's not like I really like sat down and watched her as like, okay, if I was to fight her, and I kind of watched her just to see how she would perform with different people, just, as a fan of the sport, and just kind of as a spectator in those times. So I didn't really look at her as like, oh, if I fight this person, because it just, being two weight classes different and two different organizations, it really wasn't something that I, had on my radar or anything. So, yeah, you look at it and you think, I wonder if I could be this, because you look at other champions and you're like, oh, okay, well, how would I fare with them? So yes, I've thought about it to that extent, but not to where I'm like breaking down her style and really like looking into it too much yet. So
I was just curious to get like, do you think she has evolved? From when she came into the sport. Obviously, her background was judo, but the striking and we know about her grappling and her takedowns and her ground and pound vicious stuff. And we didn't get to really see her use elbows in PFL. And so I'm just wondering what you think of her evolution as a fighter over the last few years.
I feel like she's definitely evolved. I think, and so have I, coming from the stand up, coming into MMA. So I do think that she's evolved, and so have I. And so that's what makes this matchup super interesting, to see how we fare against each other at each other's best game with what we've learned to become more of a, mixed martial artist.
If you look at all the top women in MMA over the last 10 years, I would say very confidently that the one thing they all have in common is that at some point or another they all fought you. You fought every single one of them, from Ronda to Cyborg to Amanda Nunes to Misha Tate to now Kayla Harrison, etc. I cannot say the same for the other women, right? There's always like the one person where the fight didn't happen, whatever. What's been the
Mhm.
difference between the way you've approached your career and others? Why are you always taking these fights and others aren't?
When I first started fighting, as I was getting into some of my first title fights, I would see some of these girls, I would see this huge record and be really nervous. And then I would start to look at who they fought, and they'd be like 2-0, 1-0, 2-0, 1-0 for, 12 fights straight, 20 fights straight. And I was like, man, I don't want to be like that. Those kind of victories can't even feel that good. And I always wanted to make sure that I fought the best. And I didn't want to be, term like paper champion. I didn't want to be like that. And yes, there's more risk with it when you're fighting the best. And I do take pride in the fact that I've fought the best while they were currently the best.
Mm.
Not after the fact, not I want to fight the best when they're the best because those are the fights to take. Those are the most nerve-wracking fights. Those are the most intense. Those are the most, you have so much to lose. Um, it's a lot comes with that. But at the end of the day, I look back even at my boxing career and I know that I fought all the top girls when they were currently, in their prime. And I'm very happy about that in that career. So why would I want to do anything different here? I always want to take the biggest challenges, and I've fallen short in some of my fights, but um, I still want to be able to believe in myself and take these big fights like that.
I know I just asked you about the odds, and you say you don't really pay attention to that, and I believe what you say, but I do feel, and correct me if you feel otherwise, that there's a little bit of Holly disrespect these days, that these new fans don't know who you are and what you've done in boxing and in MMA. Do you listen to any of that, and does any of that bother you?
I feel like at every point in my career, there's been something that's been negative, no matter what it is, So it's like, um, some people that do think, oh, I mean, there's all the stuff. My age, I'm slower, I'm this, I'm that, I've had injuries, I'm old, like all these things, or she hasn't had this fight or that fight, or she's only won this many and this many. But I know where I stand. And like we were just talking about, I fought the best girls, all of them. I'm never fighting outside of the top 10. I'm always fighting the top girls, and when they're currently at their best. So when I really look back at my career and all my fights, it's not I've been knocked out by Amanda Nunes. I've been submitted. I've had these things happen, but there's never been a fight where I go in and I just get completely like schooled by someone. So for me, I know where I stand, and I know I've learned a lot from my losses, and I've learned from my victories too, not just my losses. Everybody says you either win or lose. No, I've learned from my victories too, things that work, and so it is. There are people that don't know, but that's all right. If I'm going to keep fighting, I want to keep proving who I am, and not. I don't want to feel like I'm at the other end of everything. I want to always feel like I'm trying to prove something, like I'm still gaining and still moving forward. Still feel like I have to prove myself. That's fine.
Does that chatter ever affect your confidence in the gym as you're preparing, as you're training?
No, I think it's not what anybody else says, but I think any athlete goes through their own, like, doubts in your own head if you have a good day training or a bad day training. But it's usually more focused on me, not because of like what other people said or anything like that. But for sure, there's times it's not like I've walked through 20 years of fighting and always felt super 100% confident and that I'm just gonna, there's always like ups and downs, and there's always self-doubt and demons that you battle in your own head. um when you feel like you should know this move, or you should already be, this good at the and this sharp at these punches and things like that. But that's also what keeps a fighter improving, is when they feel like they still have to, you know, work and improve their skill. So I don't mind feeling a little bit of like, man, I really got to work. I got to prove something here. I don't mind that feeling because that's me still evolving and learning.
Your last opponent, Myra Buena Silva, tested positive for Ritalin after your fight, and then got a title shot. I'm just wondering what your reaction was when you found out about her positive test.
I've been like kind of quiet about that because no matter what you say, everybody's gonna. If you say something against that, then they're gonna like. I don't ever make excuses for any of my fights, So that is not why I lost the fight. I lost focus. I messed up on things, but do I think that it's how things go down? I'm a clean fighter. I get tested all the time. I've never what you got to do, and I think that was careless and reckless. And then to be rewarded a title fight, you know, I'm not going to say that I think that's the coolest thing, but I'm also not going to sit here and say anything to the point where, oh, this is why I lost or anything like that, because I should have been, I should have won that fight on my own regardless. And I know a lot of people say, oh, well, she didn't really pee dirty. She just had ADHD meds. There's a reason why they're banned. Like, they're considered a performance enhancer. So there's all these details to it. But bottom line is, I'll never make any excuse for my fight with her. I don't think that should be, I don't think anybody, I'm not even going to talk about any of the top fighters. I don't think you should be able to be awarded a title fight, coming off of something like that. I think you would at least have to have one more. But, and it depends. There's, I think she was suspended for like 4 months or whatever, and you see other fighters that are suspended a year for things, or for, it's all situations are different, and like I said, I don't really know all the details. I don't know how much she had in her system. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. In my mind, I should have just taken care of business when I had the chance to beat her, and that's it.
Did you watch her title fight last weekend?
I did.
What'd you think of that fight?
The first 2 rounds, she had some moments. I thought that she started off strong, but it's always, especially with a fighter like Raquel. Raquel's never somebody you really count out. She's always kind of a grinder, and she can make a fight messy, and she can, nothing's going to really phase her or, scare her or make her, step back. So with Raquel, I figured the longer the fight would go, it would go Raquel's way. And even Raquel kind of playing in her game a little bit. I mean, she was totally smacking her on their feet, and everybody's talking about, she should stay on her feet. I think so too. She could have really probably even done more, but I don't think she was really super worried, because she probably could feel that in there, that she wasn't super threatened in the clinch too much. So I think Raquel did what she had to do, and we'll see what happens, for Raquel's next title defense.
And just curious, going back to that fight against Myra Buena Silva, you said like mistakes you made, you lost focus. What could you have done better? What were the lessons that you learned from that fight?
When we were in the clinch in the second round, in the first round when I had her in the clinch, I knew I had control of the position. I felt fine. In the second fight, I was telling myself, I'm like, oh, you're not even in control right here. Just let go, break off, strike, and I didn't. And I just, I don't know. I had a lot. There was a lot. I hate even really saying, like, people want to know what's going on in your world, and then when you
I hear you.
Spit it out, it's like it all comes out as like excuses, and none of these are excuses at all.
Yeah,
it's things that happen, and the fight was pretty, like, the training camp was pretty rough. Had a lot of things going on, and so it's on me that I wasn't able to set things, and keep my focus right, because that's what makes a professional athlete, is being able to go in there and perform. And everybody has something going on in their life. So, and I think I just, I really just didn't stay focused 100% of the fight, and that's my fault.
Getting on UFC 300, does that mean anything to you? Like, does that make this fight feel extra special in any way?
I'm super excited to be on UFC 300. Yes, it makes it feel just a little more big, a little more exciting, a little more. Every fight is just as important, whether you're fighting in front of 5 people or 5 million, or it doesn't. I want to win regardless, but it does bring an extra level of excitement when you're on a big card sharing with other big fights, and just something that's anticipated. So I am excited to be on 300.
Have you been told where on the card your fight will be?
I think, they kind of mentioned. I don't really know exactly, so
okay.
I don't want to say anything.
Right.
But, I
was told feature prelim, like the last fight before the main card.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where they're leading to. I mean, we'll see what happens. It's until they really put it up. So
okay, fair enough. I think a title shot may be at stake for her. Is there one at stake for you too?
I hope so. I mean, winning a fight big like that, there's a lot. Like, I fought for the belt more than once, and so a lot of people, they think about what the anticipation is. They want to see other people fight for the belt, but you also got to put people in line that deserve to be there. And there's a reason why I have been up there, is because currently and stayed ranked in the, top 5 for a really long time. So my goal is always to get to the belt. If I'm not fighting for the belt, I don't want to be fighting at all. If I don't have some kind of path to the belt, I really don't want to do it, because I'm not just fighting for a payday. I'm not just fighting for fun. I'm not, it's with a goal in mind. And so, yeah, that's always it. And it really stinks when you have a loss, because it takes you a step away from it rather than a step closer. So I do feel like this is a fight that can be closer to the belt. So I need to make it work, make it happen.
2 last things. It seems like they're done with 145. Are you in favor of that? Because if there was a 145, I could see Kayla coming down to 45 first, right? Do you think this is the right call?
I think it's the right call, because I think if you really look at 145, there was maybe between 3 and 5 girls that really were true 45ers. Other than that, they were having a lot of true 45ers. Other than that, they had a lot of 35ers that would take those fights, right? So they didn't really have a full roster up there. So it kind of makes sense to, get rid of it. Really, without Amanda doing both 135 and 145 and being a double champion, there really wasn't a lot there. I definitely fought some tough girls at 45, but Megan Anderson, she's a true 45. I don't think she could ever even make 35. Durandamy's fought at both, but she could probably be a fairly true 45. But really, the 145-pound division, it's really, and I don't even know who really they had in it.
Right.
After Amanda retired, it's really hard, so it doesn't really make sense. And I think that they probably felt they'd run into something similar. So they keep the 45 going for someone like Kayla Harrison. But then what's going to happen? People from 35 got to probably, so it's like, no, we're just going to keep 35. I'm guessing that's probably the, logic behind it, but.
Right. So here we are, and you're fighting at 35, and she's going to go down all the way to 35. And obviously she has the Olympic background, judo, and your famous win there is a nice little package there, right?
Yeah.
Do you think of that sort of thing with Ronda and her, like she was the next one?
A lot of people are putting those comparisons together, but they're also different sizes, different styles, different stances. They don't even stand in the same stance. Everything is different. Some similarities, yes, but for the most part, it's different. Their striking, what they go for is different strikes. So it's nothing that I'm like, oh, I've beat a judo champion before, so I got this in the bag. It's, I'm not thinking that at all. I need to dive into every detail of this fight camp and really be ready.
By the way, you think Amanda comes back?
She might. I think, and that was even one of the things I thought when they were like, no, we got to fight for you. Trust me. We just got to see. We just got to see. And I was like, I wonder if it would be like, that she'd have to at least have one fight before if she, came back. And I was like, and at one point my coach and I were like, I thought about it and I was like, no, probably not. And I didn't think anything. And Mr. John's like, did you see something about Nunes maybe coming back? And I was like, I thought about it too, but I don't know. I do think that she's enjoying time off. She was pretty active and being a double champion and all that. I have all the respect for her in this sport. She really has another fighter that's fought, the top girls. You really can't take anything away from Amanda. It's not like she dodged, fights or anything like that. And I don't think there's anybody that she hadn't fought.
Ronda, but she wasn't really. They weren't really on the same, Oh no, Ronda, she did beat her, of course. I was thinking Juliana Pena would say that she dodged the third fight, but she did fight her twice. Juliana would say that.
But anything can happen.
Sure.
I think Nunes would walk away with that win, but anything can happen.
Sure. By the way, great job on the color commentary for the Amanda Serrano fight on DAZN back in October. That was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was fun to see
fun. There was 4 people talking, so I didn't want to over talk or, anything like that. But I really enjoy stuff like that. I do. I really enjoy watching fights and just talking about them. So, I mean, I would love to do something like that more as time goes too. So,
Well, you've earned that spot, and you've earned the spot on 300. Great to see you on there. Love this
thank
fight.
you.
It's really exciting, and great to talk
I'm
to you
excited
again.
too.
And
Thank you.
you have earned to be on a card of this stature. So it's really nice to see. So
I appreciate
congratulations,
that.
and good luck in
Thank
training.
you.
And we'll see you in April.
Thank you. See you in April.
All right, there she is, the great Holly Holm, the legendary Holly Holm. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.